One of the men featured in that special package, aspiring to lead Lagos, Gubarnitarial Vival, the Labour Party governorship for Lagos State, joins us now in the studio. Good morning, GRV.
Good morning.
It's okay to say GRV, right?
It's okay. Either way, Governor's Vival,
okay.
GRV.
Oh, Governor's Vival.
I like that too.
Good morning.
A few more days. Let's wait.
Yes.
All right, good morning. Good to have you again. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
Two things to kickstart this interview with. One is to assess the import of the extension by INEC. Is that to your advantage, or does it mean that you will need to spend more money and more resources and more energy in reaching across? And then secondly, I see that you are seizing the momentum. You were in Ekpe yesterday and a few other places. But then the report was that there was an attack, and indeed some elements shot at some of your guys. Were you the target? Is this about what Body Judge was talking about, that you might be?
Yes, there have been a lot of threats. There have been a lot of, we've gotten a lot of intel about potential assassination attempts on my life. Yesterday in Itapo in Ekpe, we had Honorable Wale Oluo with us. We also had Honorable Najim from the PDP working with us. And they were also shot at, right, in Ekpe yesterday. And there was a lot of anger amongst the APC youth that were there, because they were, these people were wearing Greater Rising t-shirts, so we are not speculating, they were APC. And the idea is we need to move away from this bureaucracy that Lagos State has come to be defined as, where it's about violence and vitriol and anger and suppression and intimidation. If you do your job, you should not have to intimidate people in relation to how they want to vote, right? So, but for us, 95% of the journey was a beautiful one. People came out in droves, they were happy to see us, there was joy on their faces, there was hope on their faces, and that's what we're doing, In relation to moving the date of the elections, for me, I've always said this since the first day I came here. I said our strategy is a surge strategy. It has always been a surge strategy, and I'm in that surge now. So whether I extend it for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, doesn't matter to me. That surge and momentum is going to keep building and building. But lastly, it's very important that the data from BVAS is properly taken out before it is reset or reconfigured or whatever they want to term it as, so that His Excellency Peter Obi will stand the best chance in court with the data. Because we've seen our original results. We have our original polling unit results, and we know that we won Lagos to over 900,000 votes. To APC's 160-something thousand votes. That's what our PE results are telling us. And the situation room of the PDP is saying the same. So we need, if I have to wait for another month for that process to come out, I don't mind. But we must give those presidential candidates the best possible foot. We must put their best foot forward in terms of evidence, in terms of data, in terms of the reality of what happened on that day.
Yeah, well, we understand that your party has, probably called for a nationwide peaceful protest because INEC has refused to give Peter Obi access to, the beavers as well. I'd love for you to touch on that. But more importantly, do you feel threatened? I want you to paint a graphic picture to our audience on what exactly happened in Ekpe yesterday.
So as our convoy was moving out, a lot of young men came out and tried to block the road, right? And obviously we cannot go in because we had quite a lot of force with us in terms of police. The police were with us. And it was very important that we did not show any force, because what will then happen is, as they are trying to propagandize Igbadibo to Echinidu, they now say, I came in there and I'm trying to take over Ekpe and I'm using guns and all of that. So we had the police go in there and talk and try to allay everything, and DSS was also very helpful in that situation to neutralize the situation. But they did shoot at us, right? And they did try to intimidate us.
Were you on the bus and they were shooting at you, or were you below?
So the great thing that we had was that the DSS knew, they could see it coming. They went ahead, they took me down from from the top of the bus and brought me back down. And they said, there's a threat in front, we're going to neutralize the threat. And then as we're going there, we heard gunshots in the air.
So do you feel safe in Lagos now? Because I know that you have also said that when your administration comes into power, you're going to end thuggery. I don't know how that would happen.
Because we're going to I mean, look at that young man that was talking, even when the APC cap.
In the
what
video
did he
we
ask
played.
for? Yes, he asked for jobs. And I keep saying these things. A lot of these guys, they're behaving like this because they feel that their lifeline will be taken away from them. And that lifeline is a situation of just taking, not necessarily working or being productive, but the state government has backed you up so you can just take and seize, almost like the strong arm of a mafia's sort of structure. What we are saying is, we're going to give you the skills to work, and we're going to create work for you, right? And if you are ready to work, you have jobs. But if you want to continue doing this whole monkey work, baboon the chop situation, there's no place for you in Lagos State. And I say that on my chest. I've said this for a long time. Lagos State must become productive. 8 out of 10 containers that come to Lagos leave empty. With our population increasing the way it is increasing, we must have a productive population. If not, it's just going to be, we're sitting on a keg of gunpowder, especially in terms of security. And Lagos State needs to be secure if we're going to grow the way we're supposed to grow, attract tourists, attract investors to come in here and become a 24-hour city. Lagos State needs to be safe.
Okay.
Sorry, before you go ahead, I'd love for that, for you to analyze your party's call for a nationwide peaceful protest if the results are not given to your presidential candidate. When do you guys plan on organizing
As long as PO and the leadership, our national chairman, gives the instruction, then we will do that, right? And politics is a continuum. Governance even is a continuum. And we must show our strength. And these people must understand that they cannot afford to set this country on fire. Leaders have that responsibility to ensure that there is peace and ensure that their followers' passions are not lit. So an election is a way for people to express themselves and push for what they want the country, how they want the country to move forward. If you take that away from them in a very illegal way that makes them feel cheated, you can potentially set the country on fire. And this was not a minority candidate. This was a candidate that had popularity all across the country, right? And not based on a tribe. I keep saying this. They're trying to color it as a tribal thing. Lagos, Labour Party won in Alimosho, which is predominantly Yoruba. Labour Party won in Koshofe and Shomolu, which are predominantly Ijebus and Yoruba. Labour Party won in Ikeja, the capital of Lagos State, which is predominantly Yoruba. So there are a lot of people that feel slighted and cheated by the way this process has gone. And I respect His Excellency Peter Obi for calming the nerves of people, for giving them hope that he believes in judiciary and the right thing is going to be done. So the INEC, the judiciary must go through the process in a transparent way and give a perception of transparency and honesty so that people can actually move on and focus on, this whole process, this judicial process.
I think the proposed peaceful protest is actually to call INEC's attention to the fact that it's not honoring the court order. Not to protest that Peter Obi didn't win.
No, that's what I said. That's exactly what I said. It's for, but the question really also was, when exactly would you know? And is it true, the story that we are hearing, that INEC has gone ahead to reconfigure the beavers without giving the documents, the results to your candidate, your presidential candidate?
Honestly, I've heard a lot of things, and I will not doubt that, because honestly, the day of election, INEC acted as an arm of the APC. I'm not mincing my words. We saw how they acted, even from the polling unit agents that were lying that they did not have the codes to be able to log into BVAS, right? And then when pressure was put on them, they brought out the codes, right? To World Coalition officers that were tipexing results in Apapa, to World Coalition, to INEC officials that will just bring up a reason not to announce a winner in Ojo, or not to announce a winner in Oshodi Solo 2 or Surulere 2, right? So that needs to change. And the reason why they could get through with all of that is because we believed that our electoral process had been deepened. There'll be electronic transmission of results. We have seen INEC's antecedents in the previous states. So we came in there with trust, but that trust is broken now. So I advise INEC to do the right thing. we don't want to set this country on fire. We don't want to set Lagos on fire. You have the mandate of a huge amount of people that want to see change. Let their voice prevail.
Okay, you claim that Labour scored more than 900,
yes.
Had more than 900,000 votes
yes.
in Lagos.
Yes.
That's your claim. I'm sure that will be part of what you guys are taking to court.
Yeah.
But then, from what INEC declared, Labour Party won in Lagos State.
With the 10,000
With the 10,000. Whether it's the 10,000 or the additional 400,000 that you believe that you won, what people are saying is that that vote, or those votes, were essentially for Mr. Peter Obi, and that they may not necessarily translate to your own vote on Saturday. How are you keen into making sure that those who wanted Obi, particularly the obedience, will also be your supporters and voters on Saturday?
Well, first of all, His Excellency Peter Obi is a brand builder. What you see with Peter Obi today is trust. People trust him. People trust that when he says something, he's going to do it. That's why Peter Obi, you didn't see him with any big billboards across Lagos State. I mean, most of the campaign jingles on radio were done by other people for him. I don't think he had any big campaign videos on TV. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
But then you see other parties that spend billions on campaign billboards and all of that, they lost abysmally, right? So it's about brand building, and he has built a brand. And that brand that he has built is transferable. When he says, I'm supporting this person, the people that believe in that brand will also believe in the brand that he's supporting. And he has said that. He's endorsed me on several platforms, on several instances, and he's coming to Lagos to campaign with us. So I have no doubt that, and also I believe that the search strategy has worked very well, because there's a time now that we need to ginger and we need to get the morale of the obedience up, and I'm doing that all across Lagos State. So I have no doubt that they're going to come out, and we're going to come out even more, because now we understand what we're dealing with INEC, because there's so many people that were disenfranchised from voting on that day. Yeah. So many people that were moved to polling units and the agents never came, right? So many people that were pushed away and in front of a Lagos Palace, in front of a New Palace, right? That is not going to happen again. Understand? It's not going to happen again. So even the numbers you're going to see in this election are going to be more, because we're coming there structured, ready to resist any form of intimidation or harassment.
Do you think that the Igbo votes in Lagos will be the tiebreaker?
You see, Alimosho, we won with over 100,000 plus votes, right? They took about 50,000 votes out of our votes there. That's a majority Yoruba place. So it's about, Lagos State is a microcosm of Nigeria. And it's about all of them coming out, because we need a huge margin. We need a landslide victory, right? So it's not, you see, this coloration, no, because when you talk about Amo Odofin, Oshodi Solo, Jeremy Feludun, that's pretty much it. Then now start talking about Alimosho, Koshofe, Shomolu, Ikeja. These are predominantly Yoruba places. These are places that the PDP never won in almost 2 decades. That's huge. So we have a lot of Yoruba, and that's why it's so painful to see how people that are not even from Lagos are trying to question my pedigree in Lagos that goes back over 400 years, trying to make this you are voting for an Igbo governor, right?
Would that be because you are half Igbo? Is it even correct to say that you are half Igbo? Your mom is Igbo.
Yeah,
your
my mother is Igbo. My wife is Igbo.
Okay.
Tinubu's wife is from Ishekiri.
Yeah. You're Chinedu,
My
right?
grandmother gave me the name Chinedu,
okay,
which means God guides me, right? My other grandmother on my paternal side gave me Patrick, right? And my grandfather gave me Gbadibo, right? So I don't understand. You see, anyway, a governor that dodged debates 5 times has clearly decided that this conversation is not going to be issue-based. So they're going to muddy the waters and bring in whatever it is. But I tell people, see this Yoruba that people want to carry on, it should be not just lip service. When herdsmen were coming and killing people in Southwest, what was Sanwo-Olu and Tinubu saying? When Rotimi Akeredolu, a fellow governor, stood up for his people. When people like Sunday Igboho stood up for his people. When people like Pa Adebanjo stood up for his people. What were they saying? When Tinubu went to go and pay condolence visit to Fasuranti and he asked, where are the cows? Was that very Yoruba? Was that in the interest of Yoruba? And then you now find that it's only when it's time to play politics that they start to remind you, but what have they done for the Yoruba people? Markets burn down in Lagos State, Tinubu is quiet. Markets burn in Kano, Tinubu goes there and gives them money. Right? So all our young men that are on the streets, that are on drugs, have they gone to go and meet the, oh, yeah, Yoruba, yeah, my sons, come, let's get you off the street, let's rehabilitate you.
Do you speak Igbo?
I was going to ask that. That was what exactly I was going to ask. No, but before you even, I mean, there has been that robust response from even the Yoruba social cultural group, Afenife, saying that you are a true Lagosian, and like you have said, your family dates back, 5 generations. But do you speak Yoruba? What do you say about the people that say you don't speak fluent Yoruba?
I speak Yoruba. But my intonation is something that makes people laugh at me.
Okay. But
I understand Yoruba very well.
Like I understand Yoruba as well.
Right? I understand Yoruba very well. But speaking
Yoruba dada.
Boy Yoruba.
Dear. Igbo unko?
Not really. Okay. Right? Not really. But also, it didn't help that I schooled abroad for so long.
Yeah, I mean.
As well. Yeah. Right? But I'm learning, And in point to come and go give a fluent speech in Yoruba. Maybe it's with on my inauguration day.
Where are you learning your Yoruba at this point? Oh, you have a teacher right now. You think it's necessary right now to govern Lagos State?
Not that. See, there's so much richness in the Yoruba language, in the ways, in the proverbs. There's so much knowledge in it. Even when you start thinking about Ifa, not just as a spiritual thing, but as a codifying of knowledge, right? And how that's the basis on which they now created analog and even computers. It is so, even no matter how you want to study it, whether it's history, whether it's language, whether it is understanding visual communication, it's amazing. So for that, I'm learning it. And language goes into people's hearts, right? English can, if you're very good, go into people's hearts, but language always goes into people's hearts. So it's important to learn.
So your mother is Igbo.
Yeah, my mother.
Your wife is Igbo.
My wife is Igbo.
And you don't speak Igbo. Neither do you speak Yoruba.
I understand both.
Okay.
I understand both.
I mean, your wife came out with this amazing campaign video. I mean, she's been in the center of this whole furore about your, background and all of that. Now, tell me, how was that video received from your end? And what do you say about everyone who have, kind of said some disparaging words regarding that particular video?
You see, let me tell you something about my wife. My wife was on a full Bill Gates grant studying malaria, African malaria parasites in Thailand when I met her. And her professor then changed the topic to Asian malaria parasites. And she said she cannot do this because it does not benefit her people. She left, came back to England, got a master's in public health from Oxford, then started her PhD all over again because she must do the African malaria parasite. That is the extent of her passion for her people. Whatever knowledge she's getting, it must be applicable to her people, right? So when I saw her, because to be honest, I was not aware of that video. I was campaigning and everything. She came, she did it, and then eventually, like 3-4 days later, people started calling me like, oh, wow. So I then watched it. I was like, wow, this is very first lady. I like it. I was very impressed. I think it's really good. And it's substance. It's not just talk. I know the value that she'll bring to advisory or governance. And I know the kind of funds she can also pull in across the world. I mean, her research is currently backed by Bill Gates. So I can only imagine if she had more access to government to be able to do more research and getting more funds for the state. So she's definitely a value add, and she's very passionate about her people.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time that video came out,
yes,
your sister's video came out as well.
Yes.
She works with the Lagos state government as well. And people are talking about or saying that's the beauty of democracy.
Yes.
You're supporting your sister, is your sister supporting you?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm very proud. I talk about it all the time. Domestic violence response team. We were there from the beginning. We were there when she'll come back, hear all these complaints, and be crying and breaking down because of all the pain that people were dealing with. And I've seen her grow. So I'm very proud of her. Whatever this government wants to do, to try and use that, put scripts that she must say this or say that, it's okay.
She's your real sister.
She's my sister. She's my sister. And there's more that bonds us than APC playing dirty politics.
Just a quick one before we come to issues of governance.
Yes.
what's your understanding of the changing concept of who a Lagosian is? When I mean, you'll be dealing with more than 20 million people. Like Oji said, there will be a population. So there's a first generation, second generation, third, maybe fourth. Things are changing. The description of, who has a right to do what is nebulous. Who is the Lagosian to you?
That's a very tough one and a very sensitive one at that. You see, originally the inhabitants of Lagos were the Aworis and the Igons. Now you see a lot of people with English names that are here today were people that were captured on these shores. The Awori, right? Because that's the first contact with the coastline, right? So a lot of them came back. A lot of them never even got to the shores where they were taking them to. Like the Vival side of my family, the British boarded that vessel and turned it to Freetown, which is why it's called Freetown. And that's where they got their first education. And then these people came back and then fought for freedom from colonial masters. I'm talking about Herbert Macaulay. I'm talking about Eric Moore, all those those families. So there are people that have really invested and built Lagos. So people will call them foundational Lagosians or aboriginal Lagosians. Then there are Lagosians that might not be from here, but they've invested and really everything that they own in life is here. They've added so much value. They're paying taxes, right? Am I going to say they're not Lagosian? And they have people that are just coming in, maybe last 10 years or anything, but they're creating value, right? So for me, I think we are ultimately going to get to a point where we see Lagos as a microcosm of Nigeria. One, that we are all united, but let us also respect indigenship rights as well. They should also be given a pride of place because
the owners of the land.
Yes, they don't have any other place to call home.
Yeah.
A Cardoso cannot go to Oyo and say he wants to run for governor. A Cardoso cannot go to Ekiti and say he wants to become governor. They will tell him, where's your father's house? You see, but Sanwo-Olu can come from Ogun and be governor of Lagos, right? Tinubu can come from Osun and be governor of Lagos. Aregbesola can come and be governor. Falike, all these guys, right? Okay, so the Lagosians that are here, where can they go? This is the only place they have called home. So let us be sensitive about that as well. But what I know is that Lagos State should be the commercial capital of Africa. And to do that, everybody must feel that they are stakeholders. Everybody must feel that this government enables commerce. And everybody must feel at home. Then we can start to get to that excellent level that we are supposed to be.
What do you therefore say to those who say to you that, yes, he's a Lagosian, yes, he's well-read, Ivy League schools, but then he's got no corporate experience to lead a state like Lagos?
I asked them, what corporate experience did Paolo have? Think about it.
He was a lawyer, he was a politician,
he was
a publisher.
He was a lawyer, he was a publisher, he wrote his own books.
Yeah.
And then you can call him an activist.
In a way, yes.
Herbert Macaulay.
Same.
Pa Jakonde.
Well, you know that people have taken you up on the Jakonde part.
Tell me.
That when you say that, what experience did he have? And they will tell you that he was a
journalist.
newspaper editor, he was a journalist.
No, we're talking about experience in the public sector, because that's what they're talking about. They either say you have not worked in government, or they say you have not worked in commercial service.
They are also asking about your private sector corporate experience.
I've worked with the American government, I worked with Chinese government.
When you say that, what does that mean?
Massive urban planning. So for instance, in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, I consulted with New Orleans government, right, to redesign the what's this space called? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting. It'll come to me. So you have New Orleans, you have the low saddle part that's cheap, right? And then you have the French Quarter. That's it, the French Quarter. That's the expensive part of the real estate there. But we wanted to create a dense design there because we had to move all these people from staying in flood-prone areas, right? So this was a project that we did for over a year, right? To design and consult for that. Same thing with the Chinese government in Beijing, the Beijing authority, right? We came in there as consultants to work with them on that. When I moved back to Nigeria, I worked with Temple Housing, which does alternative housing using containers and using alternative construction methods. I worked with CISA, right? We did those fantastic designs.
So it's not like you've never worked or earned a living from what you studied, architecture.
You see, some people, they're just desperate.
All right, but you have also been in this mix of this certificate forgery allegation as well. People say that you did not really go to MIT.
Premium Times published an article, I think, yesterday, and has debunked that. But you see what I've learned from this process.
That's what I wanted to.
You know, when I went to the market that got burnt, that was set on fire, I started to see that some people were saying that I set the place on fire, then went there as a solution. And now people are thinking I forged certificates. So you see that people's minds program based on what they do or what is acceptable to them. You see, the idea of forging a certificate and coming and talking about it is so foreign to me that, I mean, why would I even think to do that? But you see, people that do that expect that other people are doing that, right? And that's why they come up with all these kind of stories. But the fact of the matter, whatever dirt they want to throw on me, is only, I'm only going to just take it and climb higher. Because I did not come here to lie. I've kept all my receipts. And I have them in abundance.
Okay, cool. So do you really think you can run Lagos better than Sanwo-Olu?
Of course, because I'm not encumbered and shackled by one man that is a godfather of Lagos and is demanding so much out of the Commonwealth of Lagos. That is one. So you can tell that I'm going to be delivering 4 times what this APC is currently delivering. That's already a baseline. That's a baseline. Secondly, we are going to open up our accounts. The reason why they cannot open up their accounts is because of all the things that they are taking from it. Now, I don't intend to take from it. So I'm going to open the accounts and break it down line by line and even go one step further. Illustrate it with infographics. And you will not have to apply for FOI. It will be there. I'll be updating it. And I keep saying this thing on live TV. So if after the 3rd month you've not seen it, you know that this guy is not what he says he is.
So after the 3rd month, that's what you're saying?
First month. I'm saying first month.
And if after the 3rd month you're not...
All of you should come for me.
We should come for you. So, okay, great.
But that's the same thing that, similar to what Funsho Doherty and Jando are promising, a CEO that will not have a second level of approval. Why, therefore, should it be you? Why not Funsho Doherty, who I'm sure you have like a relationship, you know, your
I
respect
Funsho Doherty. I think he's an excellent man. And he has his own race. I'm running my race, right? And my race is also an edge that I have out of all the other candidates. Is that I'm the only one that's actually been a candidate, right? I've contested for Senate, Lagos West, the largest central district in Nigeria by population.
That's right.
I've visited a lot of these wards, so I know the pain points, right? That's why when I talk from a place of empathy, because I've seen this pain, right? So if there's an edge, I'll say, okay, that might be my own edge. Funsho Doherty has his edge, So,
does Jando have any edge?
I don't regard that.
All right. What about the reports of collapsing your party? And also, I'd like to find out. You did say that Peter Obi will be campaigning.
Yes.
But there was a report saying that he was going to cancel his campaigns because he wants to pursue his mandate.
No. Peter Obi called me the very next day. In fact, we were supposed to campaign on Saturday. But it was too short notice. And then we're supposed to campaign on Thursday, but he had to have a court hearing. So he's very supportive, he's very encouraging, and he's going to be on ground. I have no doubt about it. And he's been supportive. He's supported several governorship candidates. Of course, he's been campaigning. He's been on the field in several states, and he's coming to Lagos.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw pictures that he posted yesterday in Edo State, but we didn't see the candidate with him in that picture. So there's been that conversation whether or not he is going to continue to campaign. So it's refreshing to hear that he will campaign for you.
He will. He has a big heart.
Absolutely nice. So you are saying that you are capable of running Lagos.
Certainly. I'll be the greatest governor Lagos has had.
You will be the great.
Right, because the bar I've set is Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, right? And he did so much that I can learn from.
Yeah.
So I'm not starting from ground zero. So I should also build and top that.
Okay, first 100 days. And you've also talked about delinking Alpha Beta as well. I'd love to hear what you plan to do your first 100 days. 3 agendas, just lay it down.
We're going to depoliticize waste management so that Lagos State can actually genuinely be clean and open it as a platform transparent system so that anybody that has trucks or the capability to evacuate waste can get involved, right? We're going to stop the payments to Alpha Beta.
How do you plan on doing that? I mean,
I'm the CEO of the state. Okay. Whatever they want to say, they can say, but I do not see value in this value you are giving me. LIRS is the one that does most of this work anyway. So why should I be paying 10% of the revenue of the state to you when there are children that are in schools that don't have tables, that don't have chairs. We are not paying our doctors on time. Lagos State, you look at all the debts that we are in, you don't see the level of development in the state as well. So it's not acceptable.
So waste management, delinking
yes,
alphabet,
and then transportation systems. We're going to also open up the BRT lanes, because these are short-term goals. Open up BRT lanes to other companies that can carry over 40 people, right? And ensure that starts moving forward. And then we are going to publish all the accounts of Lagos State. First 100 days, publish all the accounts of Lagos State, and then start creating infographics so that we can build trust again with the people.
Yeah. Okay, just 2 seconds. You've run a good race. If on Saturday or whatever the results are out, you do not win, will you concede and congratulate the winner?
If INEC is a fair umpire and not an arm of the APC, and they electronically transmit results, as you know, we've gotten a judgment that says INEC must do that, right? And if there is no intimidation or harassment that stops people from voting, and that happens, and we see clearly that that's not the case, which I know it will not be. But let's, in this hypothetical world, I don't want Lagos State to go up in flames. So whatever I have to do to keep the peace, because I love Lagos, you know, it's like that. It's like that situation with King Solomon where they wanted to cut the child. Or, you know, I always choose to keep it.
Solomonic wisdom.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Unfortunately, I would have loved to find out, are you collapsing your party?
No, collapsing, no.
If you
no, other parties are collapsing for us, yes.
For you as well.
We have one goal to take out the APC, and all of us are coming together to do that.
That's good to hear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Gbadebo Rose Viber, we wish you good luck.
Thank you.